So this is my very first video showing my whole face. And so I have been posting these short videos on YouTube because I love talking about different topics, especially around leadership, building strong teams, families, marriage, things like that. And I love teaching the word. So I've been posting these videos and I've been using Canva to record my teachings. I think the first reason why I chose to use the presentation from Canva is because my face is not, on the screen, and it's not big and it's not intimidating. This is like, this is me being brave. I'm not comfortable in front of the camera, so this is me just going brave. And the second thing that why I use Canva is because I tend to swallow my words when I'm intimidated and scared. And when I'm presenting, at least I'm focusing on my slides and I'm not, focusing on the camera. So I want to share a few things that I've learned in my life about reinventing yourself. So this is, I'm being aware that in a lifetime, you will have different seasons that require for you to rebrand yourself, rebuild yourself, reestablish yourself, relaunch yourself. And it could be in different times. I remember, I think my first launch was when I went to high school. I was a very timid girl. I was a girl that really loved friendships and I loved singing. And so when I went into high school, I was, moving cities. I was going into boarding school, and I had to launch myself into an environment that I wasn't familiar with. I was excited about the environment, but I wasn't familiar with the environment in the sense that I had never been away from home, away from my family. Or maybe that's not quite true. I have been. But in a different context. I think in this case, I was around strangers a lot. I'll tell you all about it some other time. But it wasn't the first time where I lived away from home because of school. But when I went to high school, grade 8 to grade 12, I was in boarding school, and I remember that I had to discover who I was away from home, away from my siblings, away from my mom. And I discovered that I loved singing, choral music. I fell in love with choral music because I wasn't sporty. And so I focused my efforts in choral music. I built friendship. I loved friendship. And so that's what I did. I built friendships, which they're still existent even now, they're still existent even now. And so I think that was my first kind of, a reinventing of myself. So I'll just give you about five things that I feel like, whether you are coming back from, tertiary and you're back home, you're not working yet, whether you are, you have been working and you have been in between jobs and now you want to rediscover yourself so that you find another job, whether you're changing careers, whether you left work to start a business. It doesn't matter which context, or whether you took time out to raise kids and now you want to relaunch yourself as a mom in a marketplace. It doesn't matter. If you have to relaunch yourself, I think this would be the 5 things that I would recommend. This I've done in my own life. I think I've had to reinvent myself so many times. I've changed organizations, I've changed portfolios, I've changed, I don't know, a whole lot of things that I've changed in my life. In one life, I was a researcher. In one life, I was a chef. In another life, I was a pastor. So there's many different things that you would eventually be in your lifetime, and you need to teach yourself to reinvent your life in different seasons so that you thrive. It doesn't matter which season you're in, you have to thrive in that season. So the first point I want to make is forgive the past. forgive the past. If especially if your last season was full of pain, was full of disappointment or betrayal or anything like that, or even when everything was great, was super, but you have to move on from that past, whether you were the best in the game, and you were the main man of the game. You have to move on from that. I said here, you have to learn to move forward. Whatever you lost, whatever did not go according to plan, or whatever was good, whatever was exciting, you have to learn to move forward. You have to forgive the past, that it's now in the past, or that you actually went through it. It doesn't matter what happened, but you have to forgive and move on from your past. Now, that is easier said than done. One of the things that I've done to move on from my past is to acknowledge what happened in my past. If you know, and there were seasons where I had to move on. Life was forcing me to move on. For instance, when I finished my first qualification, I had to go back home. I could not find my in-service I couldn't find an in-service training, and so from being on a peak of my sort of a career that was supposed to take off, being best student, 2 semesters in a row, being an SCM president, and being one of the leaders in different institutions that were collaborating as Christian student organizations. I was a treasury there. I at the peak of my, I would say, youth, I was thriving. It went from 100 to a minus something, minus zero something. And I remember that I suffered from what I now realize that I probably suffered from depression. Firstly, I regretted that I couldn't establish a leadership team that was going to take over from the team that I was leading. Because students come and go. So when you are leading an organization within the context of a tertiary institution, there's bound to be, sometimes you will hand over to a very strong team, and sometimes you'll hand over to a very poor team. And so I handed over to a team that couldn't start when a new year came. They couldn't start, and so I had so many regrets on the person that I trusted to take over from me. I had many regrets that they couldn't rise up to the occasion. I felt like I wasn't a good leader then. From the peak, I just felt like, what? I didn't do a good job. Because what kind of a leader lives and everything collapses behind them? I truly believe you have to move on and things still work out after you. And so some of the things that I had to forgive was that I did the best with the resources that I had, and I ran my race, and I have to leave the responsibility to those that come after me, and forgive that. Forgive if the fact that I couldn't find work and now I was at home with my younger sister and I was just always sick. I became sick because of my obviously undiagnosed depression. I got TB. I got really sick. But what I then did, what took me out from there, what helped me, was to really forgive the past. How I did that was to move on from that. I remembered that some of the things that I did in my past was singing. Singing brought so much comfort to me. I started singing with a local group from my township, and I started singing, and things started picking up. I started writing songs again. I started getting involved in my local church, which was very hard, but I started doing that. That wasn't the context I was used to in terms of my faith. I was very charismatic. I was very, I don't know, open and free in the sense that I was coming. at my hometown, they were still very conservative, and don't wear pants, things like that. And so it was a very like a leap of faith adjustment for me to actually live in that environment and thrive in it. And so I had to forgive the past. So that's what I did. And then another thing that I had to discover that was not new, but a different version of me. I had to rediscover who I was in that particular season. I had to ask questions, what else am I good at? Am I good at in this season? Do I enjoy doing in this season? What am I set, apart for in this season? And who am I wanting to become in this season? And as soon as I answered those questions, I remember I discovered the new me. I was able to blend in, with the people in my township. I started building new friends that I enjoyed things that I never thought I enjoyed, and I started enjoying going to events and singing on events. I'll tell you this, if there's a party and the family is going that way, I would rather be at home. I was that kind of a person. I wouldn't smile more. I wouldn't want to be in the social space. But I started, being opening up myself, going to wordings, going to parties, and going to, to those extra, church services, because that was the person that I was becoming at that particular time. And I needed to become that person so that I discovered, the fullness of me in that particular season. And then what was I grateful for? Discover. That's the third thing. Discover what you're grateful for. If you are struggling to find something that's beautiful in your season, then you cannot really reinvent yourself. If you're still full of regret, you're still full of anger, you're still full of hatred, especially when you had been betrayed. I know others have lost jobs because someone did this. You were betrayed by your friends, you were betrayed by your family. And so sometimes you can keep that hurt within you, and it would blind you from the things that you should be rejoicing over in this moment. And so what are you grateful for? Make a list of things that you're grateful for. Look at allow God to give you a new perspective of where you're at, when you think about it, gratitude helps you gain a different perspective of your current situation, and it should show you what you still have, not just the things that you lost. Sometimes we get to hold on even on the good. I could have stayed and said, Mina, I'm this dynamic young leader, very radical. I could have been stuck in what I used to be. I was, best in my class. I could have been stuck in those beautiful moments and not recognize that God was still doing awesome things, even in the new season that I was entering, which I had not predicted, which I had not planned, but it was a season that I had to endure, not to endure, to live through, to go through. Now that season, it wasn't just the first season, me going through that, but I've had those seasons, similar seasons in between jobs, when I had to, transition to a new season of my life as a new mom and, as a young wife. So some of the things that I'm saying here, they're not just linked to that other time when I was young and coming from school, but I've used the same thing as an adult, basically. And then the fourth thing is, start where you are. What do you have like right now that you can do? For instance, I'm reinventing myself. I'm now 41 and I'm, studying full time. I'm not working. I closed my business and I'm not sure if I should start, working on it again. I'm reluctant, but I love teaching people. I love engaging with my audience. And so this is me reinventing myself and teaching people what I've learned and coaching people for things that I've been able to overcome. And so this is new to me. So what do I have? I had to answer that question. Okay, I have a laptop. I have access to YouTube. I have access to, an audience on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, obviously not that much, but obviously we'll get there eventually. But I have to use what I have. I can't cry over things that I would love to have good lighting. I would love to have a studio where I record these videos. But guess what? I don't have those now, but it doesn't mean that I need to, sit and wallow in my sorrow. So where do I start? If it's a lower than what I'm used to, that's okay. I have to be at peace with that. I'm used to be on stage, have good crowd. Well, I don't have that big crowd and I don't have that big stage, and which is still fine. And so I'm at peace with where I am. You have to be at peace. If you're not at peace, then you're gonna have this illusion of things that are not there, and you'll miss moments of gratitude. You will miss moments of reaching those little milestone and rejoicing over them, because you are consistently thinking you are still where you were not, and you will not even recognize when you are making those that progress in the new you. All right. And so start where you are. Set clear smart goals. Like I know with my outrolling of content, I know I have a vision board that I now and again look at and see what can I do today, develop short-term goals, and I'm working on it. For instance, these videos were on my list when I started the year. Now I'm doing them, and it doesn't matter where I start, as long as I do what I love and I'm enjoying it. Obviously I want to grow. All right, moving on. This is the new person. This is the new season. Things are different. The circumstances are different. And so you have to be at peace with that. Number 5, which is my last point, be accountable. Do what you said you would do. Sometimes we want to do better when someone else is keeping us accountable. But guess what? You can keep yourself accountable. You can keep yourself accountable. Keep yourself accountable. If you said you would finish something, do it, finish it, without a supervisor, without a manager, without, a friend, cheering you on, just for your own good. If you want to reinvent yourself, you have to be your own cheerleader. Don't make excuses. Do not accept defeat and discouragement. That will not help you. In fact, when you're feeling discouraged, it's because you're probably comparing yourself with the old you or the you that you think should be. So don't discourage yourself. Don't expect things to be easy. That's another thing. Oh, that's a big one. Don't expect things to be easy. Just because you used to kill it 5 years ago, don't expect things to be easy. Just because you for instance, I'm not shy to stand in front of people. That just comes naturally to me. It comes naturally to me. But guess what? I'm afraid of the camera. It intimidates me because it tells me a person I don't even know will look at my video and they have the power to critique or not to critique, to hear or not to hear, and I will not perhaps even have feedback if they understood what I was saying. I'm going to make mistakes in these videos that I won't even be able to actually rectify. Others, I will not even notice I made them until someone picks it up. And so I cannot then expect this to be easy. I've never done this before. This is the new me. Okay, I hope you find this helpful. Don't mind the noise. It's my bus. It's a bus that passes by my house. But it's 5 things. You have to forgive the past, move on, learn the lessons, move on. Learn the lessons, because if you don't learn the lessons, then if you had to reinvent yourself because of the mistakes that you did, then if you did not learn anything, you'll probably do it again. And so you learn the lesson as you move on. Number 2, discover this person, discover yourself again, learn yourself again in this new season. What are you grateful for now? Discover the things, the good things that are happening now. Then start where you are. Once you discover who you are and what you want to do, then start where you are, And then the last thing is be accountable to yourself. Be your own cheerleader, be your own principal. Thank you. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.